everyone, Anina back for VIVIDEARTH. I hope you're all well. How's everyone doing? Let me know where you're from. I always love to hear where everyone is from. Love all these beautiful destinations around the world, and I can't wait for us to travel more freely to all of these destinations. And travel time that doesn't take 20 hours. I know here at the southern tip of Africa, it takes us forever to get anywhere. The US is almost 30-hour trip with layovers in different places. Europe becomes, anything between 12 and 18 hours, depending on where you're going. So yeah, it's not so easy for us to get around, and I can't wait for alternative means of travel. And if you look at the number of airplane crashes and incidents, well, it looks like certain narrative is building towards certain modes of transport that is not so trustworthy anymore. And we know there are waiting in the wings many different modes of transport that is just waiting to be released when the people are ready. And when the evildoers on this planet has effectively been removed, because so many times been so many people wanting to launch alternative means of travel, and they were just summarily taken out. They just disappeared, they were killed, they just somehow disappeared from the earth plane, so which is very sad. But we thank them for their contribution. They were the forerunners. They agreed to do this according to their soul contract. So we are very grateful to them, and eventually we will get introduced to all these new modes of transport, and it might take a lot sooner than we realize. And we know that there's a lot of underground trains or tunnels being built currently. That may be the bridge to what comes next, but ultimately what we're really looking forward to is portal travel, because no matter how you look at it in terms of quantum physics and all of that, portal travel and teleportation is possible. And this technology has been available and known to our governments for literally decades. It's not something that's new. But of course, it's better to let the people suffer. It's better to let the people take forever to get anywhere. That's how they like to keep us suffering and, in discomfort, in complete sort of discipline so that they can control us. Somebody was telling me, I can't remember who it was, but they traveled to the US just very recently, and it was very, very apparent to them that how strict it is and how they've been controlling us for years into just taking orders and obeying. Apparently, passport control was so strict. It's like, okay, you can move 1 meter forward, and then you have to stand there, and then next. It's like a military camp. It's not passport control anymore. It's like a military, I don't know, controlled regime, something. And this is all for a reason, of course, not for any good practical reason, but rather to train the humans into obeying the rules so that they just accept whatever rules is being fed to them, that this is perfectly acceptable and this is just how things are. And, after decades, people just start accepting it. They don't find it funny anymore. And I know for a lot of us that came here on a mission, reincarnated on this earth plane in this particular lifetime, we came here on a mission. Part of that mission meant we had to be very, very rebellious and hard-headed, and that we wouldn't just accept anything that was said to us, or we would always question everything. We have that critical thinking gene very pronounced, and that's just how we are. It's part of our makeup, it's part of the requirements. You go in there and you break all the rules and you bring the system down. You guys, with your first wave, second wave, third wave volunteer, of course, not all of our roles are the same. Some are the ones that are going to bring the system down. Others are just here to shine their incredible light. Others are here to support, those that are awakening. So we all have such different roles. So we also have to not kind of beat ourselves up that we're not like this person or that person, or we're not as successful as they seem to be, or as on mission. We all have a certain time that we like fully activated in our mission, if we completed all the different steps, and then we will fully step into what we came here to do. But sometimes there isn't any hurry to get there. It's a process, it's a journey. It also depends on us. us in this human form. How quick are we actually to let go of old habits and patterns, and how quick are we to clean up, our health so that we can actually be more clear to receive more, and also making time for things like meditation, because that's when things get clear. That's when we become receptive to all these new gifts. So they don't just come. We have to meet, them halfway. And that is how things work. So anyway, I always get distracted, but I'm going to bring a little bit of intel today, but I also just want to talk about a couple of other things. Today is the 11th of March, and we are approaching a big lunar eclipse, blood moon, on the 13th, 14th, depending on where you are in the world. Some say 15th, but it really depends on what time zone you're on. So that's going to be a big lunar eclipse, blood moon, quite ominous. And then we're officially in eclipse season. And then on the 20th of March, 20th, right? I'm getting so confused with all the dates. We will have in the southern hemisphere, we'll have the autumn equinox. And in the northern hemisphere, we'll have the spring equinox. And that is a big sort of window of opportunity for us. Then it's going to be crazy until the next solar eclipse in April, basically. That will be like a window opening up for us. So this is going to be an interesting time. They spoke about March madness, and it's been a little mad, but I suspect it might get a little bit more mad as March progresses, especially as we step into this full moon. Somebody was also saying, according to some information, that this is the official end of the Kali Yuga. We'll see if that's the case. Today, the 11th of March, I think is a 5-year anniversary of the announcement of the CV, that pandemic thing, when it was actually announced as now officially, global illness and lockdowns and all these things. I haven't looked at if that date is accurate. I got too much research to do, but I take it that it is. So that's interesting. 5-year anniversary. We are ready to let it all out now. After 5 years, it's time for the truth, isn't it? And things are coming out left, right, and center. I mean, in the US, I think there's quite a few states now that are starting to proceed with suing the P company, that big pharma company, the PFIZER. And a few other countries have already proceeded with marking this as this product as completely a bio, and then the thing that goes after that, which is weapon. I think Japan is one of the countries, and there's a few others. I don't remember all of them. Maybe I'll go through them just now when I find my list. But yeah, so things are progressing in a big way. And I can just say, like, as I said to you guys, recently I started peeking into Facebook again because I just didn't have time, or, I just felt it was quite a negative, superficial platform. But I started just looking into it a bit more, and it's really pronounced to me how many people in my sort of old circle of influence, if you will, which are, Facebook friends of mine, know someone that's been damaged or injured, or they themselves have been after the first or the second thing. I've definitely seen an uptick, and I know that in South Africa, actually, well, I say I know, it's a knowing that there was a lot of saline sort of injections that rolled out right in the beginning. So we don't have as many injuries as other countries, but for sure we do. And we've had a lot of people that reacted. The one thing that I've noticed that almost every time I go on Facebook, there's somebody that passed away very young, like in my circle of, influence, as I said, my old life, okay, because I haven't updated that circle. It's just my old life of being in business and working in the luxury industry, and having a lot of people in my Facebook friend circle that are either, advertising agencies or high profile people or people in media or business, and it's sad to see how many of them are still asleep. However, I'm seeing an uptick in some of them that are waking up and that are sharing truth, and I really just want to kind of celebrate them here. Some of them are kind of half awake, half asleep, so there's still a lot of indoctrination to be removed, but they're becoming open to other alternatives and to different storylines coming through. And once they obviously go through the rabbit hole, they will awaken to more uncomfortable truths. But for now, their mind is open, which is wonderful. But of course, there are those that are just more asleep than ever. So it's a difficult one. We'll see how things progress. As far as I can see, we have to have some sort of shock event, because honestly, I don't know how we're going to get more people on this side and how we're going to avoid just like full-blown civil war, if you will. So I think that may be the best way, but maybe certain things need to build up towards that big event to minimize the fallout. And a lot of people are saying there is something that is quite close. And again, we've learned not to quote any dates, not to make any assurances, because plans change, because this is 5D chess and there are moves and counter moves. So it's not a perfectly laid out plan. So dates, it's all like more or less event driven. So the one event's happen, then the next event can happen. It's not date driven. So it all depends, as I said, moves and counter moves, how things roll out and what is necessary in that moment to counter certain things, and also the way that the public responds. You can use AI and all those tools to establish what the current consciousnesses of the mass public, but it's not a perfect science. And sometimes it's surprising either how quickly people wake up or how slowly. Sometimes it's unbelievable how slow some people. I think in some sectors it's just the brainwashing is so deep that it's just almost unfixable, to be honest. So who knows? I'm starting to think maybe a big solar flash is what it's going to take to bring, firstly, humanity to its knees, and secondly, to its senses. So I don't know. I think this is something that I need maybe an updated reading on, because there seem to be some disagreement, let's say, in the spiritual community, those that are seers, psychics, remote viewers, call it what you will, mystics. There seems to be a difference of opinion. Some people feel that there won't be a big flash because we're getting it in smaller flashes, but some people believe there will be a big flash, and some of those people are people that I respect. So I don't know myself whether, it's all gonna sort of be cemented with one big flash, but my feeling is that it may be needed. Maybe that's the big event. I don't know. But somehow humanity has to wake up to the truth through some sort of shocking event. When I say shocking, I mean when this whole planet is, shot with light, and I don't know, maybe we all will be like unconscious for a little while. I really don't know how it's going to work out, but I do know that of those that have been working on their consciousness, those that have been receiving the upgrades because they've been working on themselves, they've been going within, they've been making their bodies healthier by eating healthier, they've been detoxing, been detoxing parasites and all of those things. Those people are going to be, sail through it much more smoothly than other people that have not done any preparation for this. And this is not to scare anyone, because I don't think there's anything to be scared about. There's no fear, in the bigger scheme of things, we are all eternal souls, and whether we make it through in this incarnation or decide to go, redo and go to another one, it's all actually going to be okay. but I don't believe there's going to be big devastation on this planet. We just need a certain percentage actually of people being ready. Some reckon it's only, maybe 10 or 12%. I would say maybe 20% would be great. And we are pretty close, I think. So a lot of people have been doing a lot of work around this, a lot of research, a lot of intellectual research, but also really gone within to explore that inner world and the world beyond, and tapping into their own psychic gifts and abilities, whether it's clairaudience or claircognizance or just using their intuition more on a daily basis. A lot of people have been working on that. So it's going to be interesting, but all I can say is, don't waste any time to do your own preparation. And there's no external preparation that you could do. It's not like prepping, stocking your cupboards or whatever. That's not really going to help you. The only thing that's going to help you is getting your body vehicle more ready and more ready for this event, basically. Your consciousness, raising your level of consciousness, your internal vibration, because this is all about vibration and frequency. The flash will also be a flash of frequency, high potent frequency on this planet, which we call light. Light is information and light is frequency. And the more we raise our own frequency, the more we can actually not be so much affected, because it can be very hard on the body. So the body vehicle is what we need to get ready, because this is going to be an embodied ascension, not an out-of-body ascension. So a lot of people escape their minds, not their minds, their bodies, and they go into the higher realms. But what are they doing for their bodies to prepare that? Because this is an embodied ascension, as I said. So, but it's a miracle we are where we are. If you look at all the poisons and the toxins and the parasites they have thrown at us. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I can't remember now the podcaster, but it was really, really interesting about parasites. Not only physical parasites, but also etheric parasites, like astral parasites. And how prevalent it's been, and how there's actually a link between the two. And also, apparently, there's something like 3,000 snake species, okay? And we know they've been using venom as well against us. And yes, they are in the pesticides. Monsanto is the biggest venom library, or has the biggest venom library in the world. Why would they need venom? And why would they put it into the pesticides? This doesn't make any logical sense unless there's something else linked to this, right? Which we know there is. So anyway, so there's about 3,000 snake species, but then there's about 6,000 worm species, and that includes all the good worm, the earthworms and those that we find in our soil. And I don't know why this dog of this neighbor is barking so much, but anyway, excuse the noise. Then there is something like 3 million parasite species, 3 million physical parasite species. Okay, that doesn't even include all the etheric and the astral parasites. And these were never supposed to be on the planet. They were never supposed to be on the planet, along with bacteria and fungus. So somewhere there was a breach of our, whatever you want to call it, ionosphere, whatever, but it was let into our atmosphere, into the planet, and for a reason, to attack this planet. And so we've been fighting against all these parasites, which is incredible if you think that how healthy we actually are. And I'm talking about those that have woken up to the truth and done the necessary detoxes. But apparently it's very complex to do a proper parasite detox, because there are so many species. So it's not enough to just take that horse-based thing. I'm not going to mention the name here, that's not enough. Apparently, that's only later on. You need to go through a preliminary sort of detox, parasite detox. And there's a lot of natural substances that we can use, you know, from what is it now? Walnut hull, tinctures, wormwood, and a bunch of other stuff, which has just escaped my mind right now. But we can discuss this if there's a interest for you guys to hear more about this. I don't know what happened. I thought I paused the recording because I wanted to close the window. Anyway, I really need to figure these things out. The dogs. I love dogs, but they mustn't bark. Anyway, so yeah, there's a big onslaught on this planet, and I think they use parasites to create sort of a hole in your auric field, to send in the astral parasites, and then also together with the graphene oxide, the black goo, in other words, and the hydrogel. They all work together, and they can actually control the parasites. And these parasites control you. They can control your brain function, thoughts, what you're thinking about, make you hungry or not. They can do all sorts of things, and they can mess with your gut health. And we know that, you know, kind of the real brain actually sits in your gut. That's the first thing you use to pick up things in the quantum field, your gut. So yeah, it's been a tough journey, and we must continue to keep ourselves healthy, to really investigate thoroughly the various parasite protocol, detox protocols, and not just go for the first and most convenient one, but really keep learning, because this is the time that we also take self-responsibility. We don't blame somebody else because they gave us the wrong protocol. No, it's up to us to do the research and to make sure that we are in line with the information, and we have done the necessary research to ensure our own health, because there's no more blaming on other people. This is the time to take full self-responsibility, because if you want to be sovereign, you can't blame anyone anymore, because that's one of the first steps. You cannot be sovereign if you're going to keep blaming somebody outside of you. When you say, I want to be sovereign, you take full self-responsibility, and you don't rely on anyone anymore. Like the government, you know, the nanny state, the doctors, whoever. Doesn't mean we don't use their expertise anymore. It just means that we actually do the research until we're comfortable in a certain protocol that it's right for us, because we're all so different. And by the way, not all information out there is necessarily, I mean, we listen to a lot of alternative information, especially health remedies, natural health remedies, but they're not all necessarily the best information, even though they may sound like that on the surface. A lot of people just don't have the necessary experience to really tell you what to do. I'm mentioning, well, maybe I'll just mention it here, and I'm not bashing this person at all. Matt from Cultivate Elevate, you know, he recently came out with a video that was basically demonizing the horse paste, you know, the one I'm talking about, the Ivor thing, and then the Mectin that goes with that. We're still speaking in code, unfortunately. So he came out that this was actually a big infiltration, and that they put stuff in there that's bad for us, and there's actually graphene oxide in there, and it actually is not good for our health at all, and this was an infiltration by Big Pharma. So I was quite alarmed. I mean, it's not the first time I've heard that. I think it was a Dr. McCullough, one of those doctors. I forgot, either McCullough or Lee Merritt, or who's the other one? One of those doctors that were quite popular during the pandemic has said something similar. So I consulted some people who are very good at determining the frequency of that information through pendulum testing and other, but this is like advanced pendulum testing. This person can actually determine the exact level of consciousness of the information. And he came back to say, This this information that Matt dropped was actually only 180 on the consciousness scale. 180. That's quite low. And that is obviously the consciousness scale, which goes all the way up, like we want to be sort of in the 500-600s, ideally, with this kind of information. And interestingly, recently I also took my orgonite to him to be tested because I was just curious. I wasn't like distrusting it or anything. I just was curious what he would say about that. And this is the orgonite from Organize Africa, which I love. There was one, what was it called? I think it's called the St. Buster's button, which is kind of not a pyramid. It's more like a half round piece of orgonite with various things in there. Don't ask me now, I can't remember offhand. But there's also a lot of lapis lazuli and gold leaf in there, apart from the orgonite itself. It's like, can be also used for healing and meditation and that kind of thing. And I took my pendant, which is the Muti pendant. So it's got orgonite in there and also a gold leaf cross, and underneath that some African Muti herbs for protection that a lot of the Sangomas use. And so I took these 2 items to him and he was actually blown away. He says, this resonates 600. This is like, wow, it's like almost unheard of. So that was a fun experiment just to kind of show you. So it doesn't mean all alternative news or information on health and wellness or whatever else is of the same frequency. So we've got to be discerning. Even if the person has got 100,000 followers, that doesn't matter. So, this is the stage where we're going to get a lot deeper into information and not just judging all alternative health information as credible, because it's not all credible necessarily. But this is all a journey, and sometimes that's how we learn, and it's part of the journey, and learning discernment and learning what's best for us, and including for those people. They don't mean bad, but they have more learning to do. They don't have enough experience. If you can take it to, if there's somebody with like 35 years of experience and you really like question their level of experience and source of information, for me that's different. And I think the spiritual aspect is a big aspect about this, because research alone, these old guidebooks and manuals and herbal remedies and going through all of this not ancient but old information before the infiltration of the big pharma petrochemical system that the Rockefellers introduced almost 100 years ago, or more than 100 years ago. It goes beyond that, because you actually need to use your spiritual compass and your intuition to really judge things. And I think we need to do more and more of that ourselves. Something like using a pendulum is a great way to just start, because you don't maybe fully trust your own intuition. So you're just using the pendulum and see how that reacts. Obviously using the right protocol and protecting yourself, protecting the pendulum against any interference, negative interference, making sure that, there's no malevolent, shenanigans involved. I think we should start doing that, start exercising that intuition muscle more and more until we don't need a pendulum anymore. I mean, it's nice to have, but it's kind of a bit of a crutch, or maybe I should rather call it a bridge to embracing our intuition fully, which is where we are going. As we raise our consciousness, we will start discovering more gifts. And of course, we need to practice. It's like any muscle. It's like going to school. Like if we had been able to go to like intuition school when we were small, we would have been able to do all of this by now, but we didn't. So, at this stage in our life, we have to start learning it. But an open mind and an open heart will take you quite far. That's all I can say. So it's very interesting, and we need to be discerning and be more, and it's more individualized as well, because what works for Arthur doesn't necessarily work for Martha. We're all so different. It really depends on the person and what's best for them. But I really fully believe we should be each taking our health into our own hands so that we understand this better, we understand better how our body works, what resonates with it, what doesn't, and all of these things. So yeah, we're busy entering a very interesting time, which I think will offer a window of opportunity for us to go deeper and to go within, take it easy, not be so distracted by what's going on in the world of intel, what's going on the world stage, what this one is doing, that one is doing, the latest gossip about what celebrities did this or that. We must be really careful that that doesn't rob us of precious time that we can actually use to level ourselves up. And I know for me personally, I actually had an sort of, shall I say, updated astrology sort of natal top chart reading yesterday, which was super interesting because it's not just using astrology, there was also channeling involved and also sort of a quantum galactic influence in it. And again, this person's got 30 years plus experience, and they're one of those people that never stopped learning. They kept pushing themselves, learning, updating how they do things. And I believe that's the way to go also using various aspects like quantum information, galactic information, the astrology itself, channeling, intuition, all of these things can give you a much richer picture of where things, stand for you. And so it was super interesting for me. And I know that for me personally, there is that timing of that reading was just so good because literally in the days to come, there's a window that will open for me to delve deeper into, who am I and what is my real mission here on earth and how I can unlock more of my own gifts and abilities. And so I'm thrilled about the timing of all of that, and I intend to do just that. So, if I talk more esoteric stuff and less intel, you know why. But I think it's, it is important because if we miss this opportunity, this window opportunity not to go deeper and discover our own gifts, I think we might regret it later on. We're going to definitely slow down our own ascension process, and we won't be able to fully step into our roles as we would like. We might delay the whole process, which we wouldn't want. So, a very interesting time. So make sure that you are not too busy, not too distracted, that you have enough quiet time by yourself, that you go for walks into nature, in the mountain, river, stream, beach, swim in the sea, whatever it is that you can access. I think connecting with nature will be very important for us during this time. That'll really allow us to connect much deeper because nature does that, because every single thing in nature vibrates and have a certain frequency. So it's affecting our field as well. So you can see how important that is for your own development. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry guys, my cleaning lady just left. So we live in interesting times. Remember last April, that I think it was the 8th of April with the eclipse, it was huge. That really created a big timeline jump for us. We might just see the same thing now. This is the year of big change. And apparently it's much bigger than just the year of the snake. This is the transformative year. Really. And so we really have to focus this year, not be too distracted, because the change on earth that's happening depends a lot on us as well. And I'm talking about us light warriors. It's reliant on us to do the work, to evolve and transform. That's going to help the entire planet, not just us. So, and that's what we're here for, right? We're the light warriors we've been waiting for. So what else is happening? It looks like the Democrats are getting really desperate, and they're getting a little bit violent. So there was an incitement. The Democrats are basically distributing bumper stickers calling for the I'm not going to use the whole word because I don't know what YouTube is doing these days, but I'll rather be safe, of Elon Musk. So the left is resorting to political violence because the voters basically rejected them at the ballot box. And he is the bane of their, existence, because he is tracking down literally all of the fraud, like one by one. And all of their money funnels are being closed up now, choked up. So the flow of money is coming to a halt everywhere, even in the IRS. There's a new proposed 90-day pause to find out what's going on there. And we know the bigger picture is that it'll be an abolishment of the IRS, and that's coming. We just don't know how soon. And then all those stimulus checks that have been promised, well, not promised, narrative been building that each citizen will be getting, which is really interesting. So I think that might just be sort of flipping the or tipping the scales, because people ultimately feel it in their pocket, and if they have more money in their pocket, then that's going to change everything. And people are thinking, the economy is going to crash because of all these tariffs and stuff, and of course they're just using whatever they can to blame Trump. But the thing is, you have to do that in order for the big picture to come to life, which is really bringing more manufacturing to the US, more jobs. Ultimately, there might be a short-term sort of slump. We know the stock markets are not really looking good at the moment. All of them are down. But this is just a temporary thing. Ultimately, the bigger picture is going to bring a lot more wealth to the US. And so, people just look as far as their nose. They can only see as far as their noses. They can't see any further. And they're just so brainwashed. They're always looking for information that's going to support their own indoctrination. Okay, that's how this works. You will find whatever you need to help you keep that point of view that you're so invested in, whether it's to hate Trump or to whatever, and even though, a lot of these Democrats have been sealing the people blind. I mean, look at their own wealth proportionate to their salaries. Like, something doesn't add up, guys. But they choose not to see it. They still stand by these people. I mean, have you ever? If that sounds Stockholm syndrome, then I don't know what is. They're literally supporting their own captors, the people that have been raping and pillaging them blind. Yeah. There's also still a lot of conversation around Canada going to be the 51st state of the US, and he's continuing on that narrative. Now, if you remember that actually Canada's Department of Finance is registered at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., that brings an interesting point, because who then actually does Canada belong to? Is it Washington, D.C.? And if the D.C. part has already been dropped from maps, and as we suspected, the D.C. part is no longer, in other words, this foreign-owned territory, if Washington City is now a part of the US again, and Washington, D.C., a foreign territory, is no more, then who does Canada actually belong to? Maybe it does actually legally belong to the US. Now, I don't think Trump has any intentions of owning that country. But of course, a lot of people who don't think further than their nose, that's exactly what they're thinking. So in my opinion, it's just a way of actually helping Canada, securing them until they can be an independent territory. But for now, if they are completely just floating in the ether, they'll need somebody's support, like the US, right? And then there's the Greenland conversation as well. That narrative is continuing. And actually, Trump did a clarifying truth, which I think was good and necessary. in which he said, as I made clear during my joint address to Congress, the United States strongly supports the people of Greenland's right to determine their own future, and that is important. He has no intentions of owning Greenland. It's just basically to free them, as I've been saying for weeks. He said, we will continue to keep you safe, as we have since World War II. We are ready to invest billions of dollars to create new jobs and make you rich, because when the cabal lets go of Greenland, it's going to be chaos. So the US needs to do that for Greenland's sake, to help everything from crashing, to prevent everything from crashing down. So invest billions of dollars to create new jobs and make you rich. And if you so choose, we welcome you to be a part of the greatest nation anywhere in the world, the United States of America. Now, as we know, there's been a lot of talk over the years of, certain country borders disappearing and sort of territories kind of coming together. The fact that there would be 7 kingdoms, a lot of people speak about that. And perhaps that is what we're kind of looking at, that is the sort of bigger picture, what is unfolding here, and it's kind of prepping the narrative for that as well. It's not to say that those countries' culture will be disappearing or their autonomy is disappearing. In fact, I think they'll be more autonomous. States will be more autonomous and be able to make more of their own decisions, and they will just be like a territorial head, if you will, that will make sure that things run smoothly in that particular territory without, forcing all these states. Like if you look at the US, they've got so many different states, so many who have different cultures, different ways of being, doing. They don't actually kind of belong together. So they will be able to become autonomous again, make their own decisions, at a state level, which really makes sense if you think about it. So I think it's a positive thing, right? So yeah, things are progressing, but I just hope there's going to be something big coming soon that's really going to shake the people awake. I do think we need it. And we know the whole financial system is still having to come down at some point. So more and more news about, the fraudulence of the home loan industry, the banksters scam and Ponzi scheme, in which they get paid 10 times sometimes on your property just by loaning you the money. And this post reads, homeowner scam that's taking, or this one is about California specifically, it's taking people's homes in California and probably all over the country. California resident comes out to police officers surrounding his home, ready to take his property. Here's how US banks are getting away with the scam. And this is globally. This is not just limited to the US. The banksters have made sure they set it up very nicely globally all over the world. So it goes for all of us. Struggling homeowner takes out a second mortgage. The bank doesn't roll the payment into their current mortgage payment. They never send bills for the second mortgage, so you think the payment has been rolled into your current mortgage. Years later, they send you the bill. This gives the second mortgage time to accrue massive interest, in this case doubling the amount owed, plus late fees. Law enforcement officers surround your home, evict you, and take it for the bank. This is 100% real and happening. It's called zombie mortgage. Very much happening. And there was somebody sent me recently just a very nice summary of what's really happening with home loans globally. And I wonder if I can read this here for you guys. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so this reads, it's an opinion piece written by Sipho Chabalala in South Africa that came out just a few days ago. Now, I know a lot of this information, and I know many of you know a lot of this information, but it's interesting that it is a narrative seeming to be building now, and more people are finding out what's really been going on with mortgage fraud, and it's going mainstream, and the banks may just be seeing some class action soon, which is interesting. We know the system is coming down, but should we just sit around and wait? No. I fully support people that actually do something, because it does help speed up the process. It's a very important and necessary part of the process, because people need to want to free themselves and not wait for somebody else to come and save them. Otherwise we can just be fooled again, right? The next system comes along and we say, oh, this is the best system, it's not going to fool us. And I'm not saying anything against the white hats. I'm just saying it's just something that everyone needs to do, because we have been fooled too many times on this planet. It's time to wake up. It's time to learn the language of, how things work, common law, your rights, etc., so that we may never ever be fooled again. So, that's all I'm saying. So anyway, this piece reads, for decades we've been sold a lie, a monstrous cold-blooded deception that has cost thousands of South Africans their homes, their security and their dignity. The big banks, those polished towers of power, have operated like a cartel, preying on the trust of hard-working citizens and stealing from them under the guise of lending. Financial forensic expert Emerald van Zyl has ripped the mask off this operation, and what is uncovered should have every South African furious. And by the way, this information is not limited to South Africa. This goes for everybody worldwide, because we're all under the control of the same banking cartel, which is about to implode. But it's good for us to know these things. Okay, if you don't know this information, I think it will be interesting. This isn't just a financial scandal. It's organized theft on a scale so vast that it makes common criminals look like amateurs. The banksters are indeed the most as evil as they come. The weapon? Home loans. The victims? Every single South African, every single citizen globally who ever took a bond from a bank. Let's cut through the nonsense. When you signed for your home loan, you thought the bank was lending you money. You believed that over 20 or 30 years you'd be paying them back what they gave you, with interest of course. That's the deal they sold you, but it was a scam. A deep, well-oiled, carefully crafted deception. Here's the truth. The bank didn't lend you a cent, not one. Instead, your signed mortgage contract, your promise to pay, became their golden ticket. That piece of paper with your signature was transformed into a financial asset. Indeed it has. The bank took it, marched over to the Reserve Bank and leveraged it as a bond to create 10 times its value. And that goes for all the central banks. Read that again. You applied for, let's say, 500,000 home loan, and with your promise to pay, the bank conjured up 5 million in credit over from the Reserve Bank or the central bank, and you have not as yet received 1 cent. But it gets worse. The bank now cedes your promise to pay to a trust, for example, the Maitland Trust. The Maitland Trust then sells your promise to pay, which is now an asset, to an investment entity, for example, ABC Pension Fund, by means of securitization for an amount of 500,000. The Maitland Trust then takes insurance to protect the pension fund in case you fail to pay your installments. It is therefore the pension fund that paid the 500,000 to the Maitland Trust, and then the trust paid the bank for your mortgage loan of 500,000. So your mortgage did not cost the bank 1 cent. Never mind that they like to just type numbers on screens, money that they don't have. The banks did what they do best, make money from thin air. They securitized your mortgage, passed the risk on to third-party investors, and insulated themselves from any real loss. But when you hit hard times, when the economy crumbled beneath you, when you struggled to keep up with your payments, did they care? No. They came for your home. And here's the most ruthless part. By the time they sent the sheriffs to evict you, your bond had already been paid in full. The Maitland Trust had taken insurance on your 500,000 mortgage. The moment you missed your 91st day payment, the insurance kicks in and settled the full value of your bond to the trust, meaning the debt was cleared. But that didn't stop the bank. They still foreclosed on you, still auctioned your house for a fraction of its value, still threw your family out onto the street. They got paid twice, once through the insurance and again when they sold your home. And the government, the regulators, the Reserve Bank, silent, complicit, watching as the biggest property heist in South African history unfolded right under their noses. This isn't just an injustice, it's a crime, a systematic, deliberate act of financial oppression designed to keep ordinary South Africans trapped in an endless cycle of debt. While the banking elite line their pockets, how many families have been torn apart? How many lives were destroyed? How many people have been reduced to nothing, believing it was their fault that they failed to pay their bond, when in reality they were set up from the start? It's time to wake up. Every homeowner who lost a house through foreclosure should be demanding justice. Every so-called leader who claims to fight for economic transformation should be calling for an inquiry. I agree. Every banking executive who profited from this robbery could be held accountable. The bank have gotten away with daylight robbery for far too long. Now that the truth is out, the real question is, what are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? So Sipho Shabalala is an independent writer, commentator, and analyst. Actually appeared on Independent Media, IOL platform, which is interesting. We know that is owned by, my memory is going. The name has escaped me, but that guy that says he's always targeted by the Sayed Mia, right? His name is Sayed Mia. From the Mia family. Is it the Mia? God. Anyway, let me not mess this up. I'm seriously having memory issues these days, which is part apparently of the whole brain recalibration of process, going from carbon to crystalline. I'll happily take it if it's that. If it's something else, well, I need to find out. Anyway, so this goes on much further. There's not much more, but I think it's a good summary. It's better than I could have quoted, and I would like to say that they don't get paid twice, but more than often 10 times the value. So they make so much money, but to protect this Ponzi scheme, they can't let you off the hook. That's why they take your house. That's why they can sell it for cents at the dollar. And often the people buying these houses on auction works for the bank. Yep. So that's how they access cheap property as well. Never mind the money that they already made. And have you seen some of these bank head offices? I mean, I've been in a couple of them. I mean, you just have to look at the Standard Bank head office in Joburg. I mean, I worked with them. They were a sponsor of one of my events back in the day, headline sponsor. So I've seen that head office inside out, and I can tell you there's so much money in that building. Like, why are the banks and the insurance companies always have the fanciest head offices? These banking executives earn astronomical salaries, okay? All while stealing from we the people. When will these people be held accountable? I know a lot of people are not aware. A lot of people that work for these banks and insurance companies have no idea. But the ones at the top, they are aware, okay? And also, ignorance is no excuse. You need to find out how things work. Otherwise, you can't claim ignorance. It's just not going to fly anymore. So, it looks like slowly but surely the house is coming down. And I, for one, excuse the pun, but I, for one, cannot wait to see the banks go down. I cannot wait. So we're in for some interesting times, guys. Things are going to come to a head fast in the coming weeks, months, maybe years, but definitely in the coming weeks and months. And I went on good authority that there will be some sort of wealth redistribution very soon. How quickly that's going to roll out in other countries, not the US, where we know things are starting, I don't know. But it's happening, okay? It's happening. So just be patient and use this time to activate your own gifts, skills, and abilities, instead of just waiting for other people to come and save you. Like I've said before, so, because that's what true sovereignty is about. Not waiting for anyone, but doing what you need to do to get things going, to make change in your own life. And I'm going to end with this. I'm going to actually quote Laura Aboli, who I love, and she's expressed a lot of wisdom lately, which I love as well. So less anger, more wisdom, which I love. So she said, the finish line is for the ego. The journey is for the soul. And isn't that just so apt? Isn't that just the truth? It's only our ego that wants to see the finishing line. The soul is content with the growth and the journey, the growth that we experience through this journey. That's where the real gold lies. So do not scorn the near and pursue the far, okay? We certainly learn more from the journey than from the destination. If you pay attention, you will realize how much you have changed since the start. You started this truth-seeking journey, and I think everyone will agree with this. And that is precisely the whole point. Truth is found as you transform into a higher consciousness capable of assimilating and doing something about the truth you find. It's not so much that the truth will set you free, it's that your capacity to see the truth has already freed you. And that's why sovereignty is so important, because that's a spiritual transformation that you go through. Knowledge is the key to everything, but you need to want to seek it, and that is exactly what is dividing humanity right now. Yep. There are those that can't be bothered to search for truth, those that catch a glimpse and turn their backs to it, and then there's those who have the courage to face it, even if it sucks. It is only the latter that stands a chance of being free. And that goes for all of you. So pat yourselves on the back, guys. You've come a long way. Knowledge, however, is just the first step. Understanding is the next step. You must internally process knowledge, grasp its implications, and apply them in your life. Contrary to what most people believe, wisdom is not the knowledge of truth, it's the application of that truth. Wisdom is when your thoughts, driven by knowledge, and your emotions, which is driven by the processing of that knowledge, are reflected in your actions. In other words, wisdom is when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are perfectly aligned. Wisdom not only requires knowledge and the capacity to process it, it also requires courage. The courage to take action, the courage to live in alignment and coherence with yourself. In other words, as you think, so you feel, so you speak, and so you act. As within, so without. So to all of you sharing this journey of seeking the knowledge of truth, trying hard to process it and attempting to act accordingly, I salute you, and I salute you as well. I salute you for having the intuition that brought you on this journey in the first place, for having the humility to accept your own ignorance, the strength to cope with truth, the capacity to process it, the generosity to want to share it with others, and ultimately the courage to do something about it. Remember, wisdom is the application of processed knowledge, so be wise and start making the necessary changes both internally and externally. We've gotten this far. Let's keep going. Beautiful message. I just love that. And I think you'll love it too. And so I salute you. I pat you on the back. And I'm saying to you, it's all in the journey. It's not in the destination. So keep going. Enjoy the journey. Bring joy into your life. It's not all serious. There's also a time to be playful, be joyful, to enjoy this life. And there's a time to be serious as well. So just embrace the journey and just be present in every moment, because you'll never get these moments back. Let's stop living in the future. Let's live in the moment and let this moment count, because it's these moments that add up to become our future. So every moment is important. What you think, what you act, what you do, and how present you are. So guys, let's keep going. We are almost there. We are entering a beautiful phase, and as I said, don't waste your time and energy on things that are not going to fuel your growth. Okay? Be discerning, make the right choices, live your life as if every moment counts. So that's it from me. I'll be back tomorrow with an interview with Richard Cardinal. We're going to do some tarot stuff and have fun. I know you guys love having him on, so I do too. So that's going to be fun. And then on Thursday, I'll be with Michelle Fielding on her channel, so I hope to share that with you guys as well. And yeah, a lot more interesting interviews to come. Just a request, please, can we send some love and light and healing vibes to Sarge from Icons? He had a little procedure done. He was in the hospital. He's on the mend. He's fine. But let's send him all our healing vibes so it'll become much better, because I'm meant to have him on the channel as well. but he's been a little unwell, so hopefully we'll have him back soon. In the meantime, we send him all our healing vibes. And guys, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please do me a favor, make sure you subscribe. There's a lot of shadow banning going on, and we're trying to grow this channel so we can spread the truth and really impact the world around us. That is my sincere wish. So if you did enjoy this video, like, share, subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to our backup channel on Rumble, please. The link is below. In case we disappear again, which will be the third time, but I'm not banking on that. I'm just saying, just make sure you subscribe on Rumble, just in case. You can also go to my website, vividearth.org, O-R-G, and subscribe to the newsletter. At least, I'll have you there and you'll be part of our community, and I can inform you if anything happens. If you subscribe, there'll be a little box that pops up after a few seconds on the site, and you can just sign up for the newsletter. I promise I don't bombard you. And then Telegram, that's where we update daily, not only myself, but Francine from New York and Wolf from South Africa, who monitors all the scammers and bots for us. He's becoming an expert at it so that we can have a wonderful channel where we share incredible news and updates every day. And also in our chat channel, where is where we have to catch all the scammers. But I love all your comments, so keep it coming. Let me know where you guys are from in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you back here. And wow, what a beautiful global community we've become. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you back here very soon. I'm sending you much love.